So, sometime last week, Sony decided to do a big announcement kind of showcase thing where they showed off the new PlayStation, the PS4 Pro, aka formerly known as PS4 Neo or PlayStation Neo. Now, everybody was excited about this. It was probably the worst kept secret in console history because everybody knew about this console. We knew how strong it was. We knew when it was coming out, ideally. We knew the price range of it. It was all out there, and it all was, for the most part, true. So we're going to get into that, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But they're in a bit of a pickle, I would say. Sony is with this new PS4 Pro because they're talking about it as if it's just this wonderful, awesome console and it's going to be so powerful, it's going to be able to do everything, but that's not the case. So basically, let me give you a summary of the announcement. They say it's going to be about 50% or double the power of the PS4. Now, that's technically 100% more powerful, but really, it actually like adds up to 50%. It's kind of weird. It's math is weird. All right, guys. So obviously better performance at 1080p and 60 frames per second all the time at 1080p. Claims it's going to be native 4K as well, or like you can make games and play them natively in 4K. It'll be running on AMD's Polaris GPU architecture, which, I mean, I was right about. I don't know if you guys remember that. I said that, and I was right, just saying. Prices at $399, which ain't bad, and HDR, high dynamic range, color output and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But, you know, all that's great, but here's the problem. Here's the problem that they're running into. After the event, people were asking devs questions, as they normally do, not just Sony, but also developers. And as it turns out, it's not native 4K. It's actually not powerful enough to reach 100% native 4K. It's about 90% of 4K. So you're not actually playing the games in 4K. And also, it's not able to get anywhere near 60 frames per second at 4K. Just so you guys know that. So anyway, this thing's advertised as a big 4K monster console, right? To compete with PC practically. No, that's not the case anywhere near there. But on top of that, there's not even an 4K HD Blu-ray player in this console. So you can't even watch your 4K Blu-rays on your PS4 Pro. Does that make any sense? No, because the Xbox One S has a 4K Blu-ray player in it, and they're Microsoft. Sony makes Blu-ray. I'm pretty sure Sony owns Blu-ray, and Microsoft has the 4K Blu-ray player in their not even beefed up console. It's their slim console. The beefed up console's not coming out till next year, but they have a 4K Blu-ray player. How does that make any sense? I don't know. They also already have HDR on the Xbox One S, and they're just now getting into HDR with the PS4 Pro. But on top of that, it's not even really a plus point because, well, all PS4s will have HDR, I guess. I guess they're putting out an update to enable HDR on PS4. So, I mean, why are they even bringing that up at that point? That should be something that should be focused on the updates, not necessarily the console itself. But that's not it. We're not done, all right? This isn't it. Most games can. There is enough power here to run pretty much all games at 1080p at 60 FPS. That's great. Great news, right? That sounds awesome. Why are you labeling this in the cons list, you might ask? Well, multiplayer games, which are, I don't know, most of the most popular games out there, will be locked at the same frame rate as the original PS4, as the regular PS4. Now, you might ask, what does that matter? Well, so games like Destiny, which is at 30 frames per second on the current PS4, even though you're on a beefed up double the power console, it's still going to be at 30 frames per second because it's a multiplayer game and they don't want you to have an advantage over other players. Makes sense, that's good reasoning behind it, but it's kind of a waste of time to have this upgrade of a console and spend the extra money to get this console when you're not even going to be able to achieve the ideal performance on it because of that. Like, there's almost no point in doing it. So it just doesn't make much sense to actually go and update or upgrade. So that's another thing. And then for devs, for you developers out there, or you aspiring developers, they're charging for updates now on the PS4 Pro. The first one will be free, and then the rest will actually cost money to update your game. This is something that people thought was absolutely brilliant when Sony was announcing the original PS4 because they would not be charging for updates. Xbox was going to do that for Xbox One, and people hated it so much they ended up taking it away. But that was one of the selling points of the PS4 for developers. But now they're actually adding it while Microsoft has actually taken it away. So they're doing more harm than good with this thing, and it just doesn't seem like they understand like the market, I guess. I don't know, but it's a mess, guys. It's an absolute mess. So I guess in all reality, you're not gonna want to be able to use or upgrade this console because you're not going to be able to use the power and better performance in your games probably for a few years. Probably not for at least another 1 year when the Scorpio comes out, and then they realize we have to start dishing stuff out. Unless Scorpio does similar things and similar protocol as the frame rate thing, and it's not native 4K, then if they do all that stuff, if they allow you to play at higher frame rates, then Sony's going to have to turn things around because it just doesn't make sense. And already the Xbox One S has already got a foothold in one of the features, which is a very popular feature, which is 4K Blu-ray. So I mean, Sony is in quite a big hole with this PS4 Pro thing just because they are limiting something that's not supposed to be limited. They're limiting a console that they intentionally built to be better, but in all reality, it's not. Like, it's more powerful, but it's not going to be better, and that's bad. So I really feel like they rushed this out there in order to try and beat Scorpio because they didn't have something as powerful as Xbox Scorpio. So I don't know, can't speak for sure up until, you know, next year when the Scorpio actually comes out and we see the price and how much it's going to be and the actual performance of it. So I guess we're going to have to wait till then. But I guess all this is for me to ask you guys the question: is it worth upgrading to the PS4 Pro, or do you think it's worth waiting up until the Xbox Scorpio is officially released and we can see how it stacks up in the performance and the protocols that they're going to have for the Scorpio as opposed to the PS4 Pro? I don't know. I might end up upgrading. If they have some good upgrade programs at GameStop or whatever, I'll probably do that for the sake of actually having it and being able to tell you guys my experience with it. But if they don't, if I can't get like at least half off of the new console, I probably will not be getting it at least for quite some time because I don't want to drop another $400 just to have a tiny bit of boost of performance in UI for the most part, and then in some single player games. So anyway, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Will you be upgrading to the PS4 Pro, or are you gonna wait a little bit? I think the ideal thing is to wait and see what the Scorpio brings, but also it never hurts to have a more powerful console. Let me know in the comments down below. If you have not hit that subscribe button, hit that share button and that like button, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.